Hello, Abnormal Family. Got another drop for you. I think y'all are going to really enjoy this one. It's from a guy that is a fire jumper, and no, I'm sorry, that is not that one. Sorry, guys, I had two sent in. I'm not going to do that one yet. This one is about an encounter in North Carolina. So, let's get to it. But first of all, if you have not joined my new channel called AI Seeking the Truth, you're really missing out over there, guys. There's a lot of people subscribing. Be one of the first to jump over there on that new channel. That way you can say you was with us from the beginning. Let me say that I grew up in a very rural, poverty-stricken part of North Carolina, about a mile away from the Tar River. The area in which I lived was a bit swampy, with heavy, dense woods all around the single wide that we called home. During the summers, when we had an abundant time to spend tracing around in the creeks and fields around the area, my siblings and I would spend from dawn until well after dark playing around in the forest, the river, and everywhere. As children, our parents argued a lot because we were very poor and they would frequently fight about jobs and money for days and days. So we always preferred to be out of earshot of them, which meant we had to play in forests. We had always had some sort of experience around the river, but we would always just explain it away. Branches snapped, rocks tossed around, the crunch of leaves in the distance. Nothing was as scary as being at home with them. Looking back, I think something was influencing my parents' attitudes and emotions, but that's a whole different story. The first time I saw one, it was just the beginning of fall. The sun had almost gone completely down, leaving a silver and of red and purple that fade into the black abyss. My parents had a huge argument that ended with both of them raging out of the house. My mother sped off in her car, and my dad walked out into the darkness of the woods. As a few hours passed, I began to grow worried about the whereabouts of my dad. So I strapped on my boots, grabbed my dog, and walked out the door. I began to walk around our small backyard trying to find any clue as to where my dad had gone. I looked behind me, and upon the ridge I saw a shadow walking around. The moon illuminated the sky. I decided that must be my father and ran up the hill to meet him. At the top I looked around, but saw no one. And then suddenly my dog, very laid back and soft pit bull, growled this horrible guttural sound. I felt the hair on my neck shoot straight up. My arms covered in goosebumps. Without thinking, I shot down the hill running as quickly as my legs would go. As I got to where the property began, I saw my dad sitting on a felled log. He looked angry still, and his expression softened a bit when he saw my face. "Pops, were you just up on the hill?" He looked at me perplexed. "No, I've been here the whole time." "I saw you walk up there, though, and wondered where you were going," he explained. I told him we should probably go inside since there's probably a bear around. As we were going inside, my mother pulled up, got out of the car, and told my dad we need to talk about this. I went inside figuring they would sit in the car and talk about things I don't want to hear about. In the back of our yard, we had a makeshift fire pit, which they had decided to sit around as they talked. About 5 minutes after I walked inside and began to get ready for bed, I heard banging on our back door. It was my ma. "Hurry! Open this door now!" My room was right beside the back door, so I rushed to it and locked the door to see the terrified faces of my parents tripping over each other to get in the door. Then I saw it, standing just outside the line of trees, holding a decent-sized sapling it had snapped. All I could do was stare at it. The thing screamed, a bone-chilling howl. I snapped out of my trance and slammed the weak door closed and locked it, though I knew if it really wanted to get in, it could just rip the door off the trailer. I stopped going in the woods after that. Every spring and autumn they would come through. I don't know if they migrate or what it is they do. But as they come through, they whoop and holler, whistle and scream, bang on the sides of the trailer. The second time I saw one, I was trying to get some sleep, a hard thing to do when one suffers from insomnia and stuff beating on your door and windows at night. I finally gave up trying and turned over to try to go back to bed, and I noticed a shadow cast on the floor from my window. Slowly, I shifted my gaze upon the window. There, sort of stooping down, stood one, peering into my window, resting one of its hands upon the AC unit. It tapped on the glass and let out a low whistle. I laid in my bed, just staring into whatever it was. I stood there letting out various whistles, or it stood there letting out various whistles, and clicks for about 10 minutes, before it tapped one last time, stepped back and walked back into the woods. I didn't really feel threatened. I think maybe it was just curiosity and seeing something that's not supposed to exist that had my body trembling. There's a lot of mysterious weird things that go on in the swampy woods around the Tar River in North Carolina. Some things are natural and some things are not. Boy, I can identify with a lot of things he said in this story. Growing up at my granny's, these things would beat on her house, the air conditioner, which was actually a water cooler in the bedroom. We heard a lot of whistling. Whistling was probably one of the things we heard more than anything whenever I experienced it at my granny's. Now, my mom then might have experienced different things, but whenever I got older and my cousins got older, it was the whistling. Heard a lot of whistling. I think it is a form of communication that they use. I believe the whistling is how they communicate, one of the ways they communicate. And again, I don't know why they're so intrigued about us. You know, you would think after all of these years they would have found out everything they wanted to know about us by watching us. But it seems that they still are very interested in us. Join us this Saturday night at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, and we're going to talk about some of these reasons and try to get some theories and opinions on this, because I do know this happens to a lot of people as it happened to us, and I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that do want answers on this. So let's try to see what we can find out Saturday night. I look forward to seeing each and every one of you there. Thank you for the support for Hunter. God bless you guys. We'll see you on the next one, and don't forget, keep your head on a swivel, or you just might be its next dinner.